Welcome back, CruiseHols, or hello if you're new to this channel, where in this video I'll look to answer the question, Celebrity Cruises versus MSC Cruises, which is the best? I've been fortunate enough to do many cruises with the Celebrity Cruise line, including on board some of their oldest and smallest ships of the Millennium class, to one of their bigger ships of the Solstice class. But in fairness for this list, I've only sailed with MSC on board one of their ships, the Virtuoso. So without giving too much away before going through all the points of this video, Celebrity is one of my go-to lines, and are always one of the first that I check to see if they have an itinerary sailing where I want to visit, when I want to go there. That is something long-term readers of the CruiseHols website and long-term watchers of the CruiseHols YouTube channel will know very well. But of course Celebrity are not perfect. There is lots that I like about them and lots that I like about MSC, but there are some things that I don't like about both. So it will be interesting to compare my experience of sailing with both lines and see which one offers the best experience overall for cruisers. And that's just what I'm going to look at in this video, where I answer the question, Celebrity versus MSC, which is best? To decide which is the best, I'll look at what I believe are the most important parts of a cruise line. Starting with the pre-cruise experience, the check-in process, the entertainment on board, the overall on-board experience, the food and drink that's offered, the itineraries that the cruise line have, and of course the value that they offer. So as ever, if that sounds of interest to you, don't forget to like and subscribe, and leave a comment below with which is your favourite line and the reasons why. My name is Darren, and this is my comparison between the Celebrity and MSC cruise lines. The good news is that we start this video with a couple of positives, as I have never had an issue with the pre-cruise experience of either of these two lines. At least not in terms of things going wrong or any issues cropping up. And to be honest, both are quite similar, as you do most things on the line's app or website, with both lines options that work well, or at least well enough. Celebrity do give you plenty more options that you can do in the pre-cruise period, including being able to easily book the shows, restaurants, and planning your time in general on the ship better. MSC require much more to be done once you are on the ship, and for me that's just a waste of my holiday time. So for that reason, I'm going to give this point to Celebrity Cruises. But it's nominal at best really. Once again, things are quite similar between the two, as much of the check-in process is completed before you even board the ship. This category is always difficult to rate the line for, as much as the check-in process is down to the port that you sail from, as the organisation and facilities that they offer can really make or break the check-in process, no matter how organised the line is. Thankfully, I have sailed from the same terminal at the same port for both of these two lines, which makes it much easier to compare the two. And the two major differences are the aforementioned need to do more when on board with MSC, and also the confusion of when people should arrive at the terminal with MSC. Whenever I sail with Celebrity, things tend to be organised with a steady flow of people arriving at the terminal. Whilst with MSC, people seem to just turn up when they wanted. It could have just been down to the particular sailing we were on, but with so many people so confused, there must have been some sort of issue, although me and my wife knew when we were due at the terminal and arrived on time. So with those two negatives about the experience with MSC, Celebrity gets the win in this category. This is perhaps one of the more subjective categories in this video, as what I find to be entertaining, you may not. I will try to keep much of what I consider in this point down to just the facts of what is offered, and not just the quality of entertainers on each line, although that is of course a part of it. To start with, both lines offer a range of professional production shows, guest entertainers, and musicians around the ship. Although we did find the acts on MSC a bit more repetitive, and the production shows tend to be a bit more music based, mostly down to MSC having to make it a multilingual offering. That is also part of the reasons why they are repetitive, as they have to stick to songs that people across different countries and cultures will know, so whilst entertaining, they lack that little bit of extra pizzazz. MSC offer a mix of free and paid shows on their bigger ships. While shows have always been included with Celebrity when I have sailed with them, and whilst their production shows also tend to be decent, one aspect that I have always loved about the Celebrity line is the quality and variety of their guest entertainers. No matter where we have sailed around the world, the line has always offered a number of guest entertainers, including singers, comedians, musicians, magicians and more. And they have also brought on board local performers from the destinations we have visited, to bring the culture of that port onto the ship. So with all of that in mind, I have no issue with the entertainment on either line, but Celebrity have gone over and above what they need to do on so many occasions that once again they pick up the point for this one. If things have been quite similar so far, this is where they tend to split apart, as the onboard experience is completely different on board both lines. And I should probably start with saying that whilst I enjoyed both, and it really comes down to how you want to cruise, one line does offer an onboard experience that I much prefer. With that out of the way, it's time to try and explain the differences in the experiences that we have had on board. It's probably easiest to say that on board MSC, there's always an expectation of you should be doing something, whether that is going to a show, having something to eat, doing an activity, or sitting in a bar drinking. If you are not doing something, there is nowhere really to sit and relax or just unwind, whereas on Celebrity, things are a bit more laid back, and there is plenty of places to just sit, relax, and enjoy being on a cruise ship. That's not to say there is nothing to do on Celebrity during the day and an evening, as there are plenty of activities happening around the ships, and most bars, cafes and lounges will have entertainers, but it's just not so all action, shall we say. If you love being busy, don't mind having to keep splashing cash on doing things, and just want to try a lot of different things while on holiday, MSC offers the perfect ships to do just that. And if you're on an itinerary of lots of sea days, it could be ideal. For me, however, the more relaxed style of Celebrity, where I can just sit with a coffee and enjoy some background music while spending time with my wife, makes for a great time on board in any ship, and then you still have plenty of things to do when you want them. So once more, Celebrity gets the point for this one. This is a category where the two lines also differ, as in the main Celebrity offer American favourites, while MSC offer Mediterranean cuisine. If you have an overriding preference over either of those two, it could really impact on which line you choose to sail with, but I'm happy with both, so there's no issue there for me. I have found that the quality on Celebrity has remained quite consistent over the years that I have been sailing with them, and whilst they do tend to stick to the same dishes in the restaurant, they offer plenty of my favourites, so I can't complain about that. Both do offer some global favourites in both the MDR and buffet, with plenty of pay extra restaurants where you can enjoy your preferred cuisines from across the globe. Personally, I have found the food on Celebrity to be a higher standard than MSC, and of course drinks, they're pretty much the same across the board. Celebrity do go a bit more over and above for their gala buffets, and they have a lot more themed dinners and lunches, which does take away from some of the repetitive nature of eating in the same NDR or the same buffet every day of your holiday. The biggest difference for me between the two lines is that Celebrity offer local dishes and drinks based on the ports that you were visiting. And as someone who loves to experience the local cultures of where they visit, including local food, that is a great option for the ports that you haven't had a chance to grab something to eat in. For that reason, and for the better overall quality of the food, I'm going to give the point to Celebrity for this one. Both Celebrity and MSC Cruises have a large fleet of ships, based all around the globe, and while Celebrity has a main focus on North America and the Caribbean, MSC have their main focus on the Mediterranean, as you would expect. Despite that, there are few parts of the world you cannot visit on either line, with MSC even offering world cruises. MSC do have areas that they excel over Celebrity in, including the Middle East, while Celebrity excels over MSC in regions such as the Far East. It really does depend on where you want to visit as to which offers the better range of itineraries and the type of cruiser you want to take. MSC offer a lot more options for those wanting to take an interporting itinerary, or an itinerary that has more than one embarkation port, that allows for more freedom and flexibility as to where you get on and off the ship. Celebrity offers a lot more smaller ports and repositioning cruisers that visit them. But the thing that really makes a difference for me personally is Celebrity's offerings in the polar regions. I love exploring cold weather places where you see mountains, icebergs, glaciers and waterfalls right from your cruise ship, and Celebrity have one of the widest ranges of itineraries sailing the far north and far south of the globe, including visiting Arctic and Antarctica. So for me, that gives this one to Celebrity, as they have more of what I want. But for you, it could easily be MSC Cruises with the better range of itineraries. It really is a flip of the coin, really. This is such a tricky one to do for these two lines. They have completely different business models, with Celebrity offering them much more including the base price, which of course makes it much higher than MSC's, as they tend to offer everything as an extra cost with a smaller base cost. If you're just wanting to go on a cruise ship, enjoy some decent food and entertainment, and simply have a few days exploring some great ports, you can do all of that and more with MSC at an incredibly low cost. That makes them a great choice as a second cruise of the year option, where you just want a short and cheap getaway, as that's just what you get when you book with them. As mentioned already, you can pay to do lots on board when cruising with MSC, and that can make them just as expensive as other lines, but thankfully their impressive ships do make you feel that it's a lot more of a premium experience that a low base cost wouldn't make you think they are. Celebrity, on the other hand, are a premium line, or at least a premium mainstream line, so you do pay more to start with, but you do get more for your money. With everything just that little bit better quality, from the entertainment to the food, it really does level things up, especially on a longer cruise. I have to say that the holidays on Celebrity are more enjoyable, for me at least. But if you pick one of the great value getaways on offer with MSC, and you don't do too much on board, like they pay extra stuff, you can get a better value getaway with MSC. But on the more like-to-like getaway where you do everything on board the ships, more value can often be found with Celebrity, and the more relaxed nature of their cruising just adds a bit more value for me. So once again, this one is so close that if you were to ask me one day, I may pick one line, and the next day if you ask again, I may say the other line. But as of today, the win goes to Celebrity. So overall, it may look like there's light years to choose between the two, as Celebrity have dominated this video, but with a win in every category. But the lines are actually much closer, and that may make it sound like I am intending it to. Just about every category came down to Celebrity just edging things on them small little minute matters that are personal to me, but they're likely not the same for you. I would have no issue with sailing with either line in the future if they have the itinerary that I want to do and at the cost that I want to pay. And if that's the same for you, book with either of these. For the purposes of this list, Celebrity is the best, and as argued my favourite line, that's perhaps not too much of a surprise. So all that remains to be said is thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy my comparisons of the Celebrity and MSC cruise lines, and see you next time.